Welcome to the True Wealth Investors Real Estate Podcast. Creative investing strategies to help you build true wealth. I'm your host, Chad Harris. All right, welcome everybody. Good to see you back as always. Glad to have you, True Wealth Investors Real Estate Podcast. And if you are wanting to buy rentals, build cash flow, and create generational wealth, you are in the right place. Now, a lot of investors, their number one struggle, their number one headache is dealing with contractors and dealing with renovations. In fact, recently I was talking to an experienced investor and he said, if you're going to do renovations, you better just accept a massive amount of conflict in your life. So, if you want to avoid that and learn how to do it the right way, you are going to want to stay tuned to today's episode. We have Bobby Triplett. I've known Bobby for a couple years now, and every time I talk to him, I'm like, man, this guy really has it dialed in. I got to hear more details about what he does. And his specialty is working with contractors, managing renovations on a massive scale. So make sure you stay tuned. A lot of valuable content today. So without further ado, welcome, Bobby. Glad to have you.
Chad, thank you so much for having me, brother. It's good to be here, man.
Yeah, definitely. So, a real quick summary, just so everybody knows who you are, what you do.
Sure.
Just share a little bit about your story and what your specialty is.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I'm Bobby Triplett. I'm the Senior Vice President of Renovations for Offerpad. Offerpad is a publicly traded iBuyer where we buy, renovate, and sell thousands of our own homes every year. And in the last couple years, Chad, we've been taking our renovation teams, our W-2 project managers, renovation directors, foremen, crew, and about 1,300 trades that we do business with around the country. And we've been renovating for investors just like your listeners and students. We do a couple thousand homes a year, flipping them or renovating them, for real estate investors. Some of the biggest names and some of the private investors and everywhere in between. And it's been awesome, man. Going on my 10th year here with Offerpad. So I was on the original team to help start the company. And I've helped open every single market that we've been in. 22 markets now, 15 states. And I've got a little bit of over 43,000 flips under my belt as a leader for this team. And it's been, I've definitely learned what not to do, man. That's for sure. And if I could help any of your listeners avoid those pitfalls. And over the last decade, we've really created a culture and a system of how to really be efficient, organized, and effective in the field.
It's awesome. Yeah, when you throw out those numbers, it's like, man, for the average investor, it's hard to wrap your head around that many renovations.
Sure.
Most investors I know, if you have 3 renovations going on at a time, it's a little
Sure.
overwhelming. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion today. And for most listeners, they're buy and hold, looking to renovate that
Yeah.
rental primarily to get it rent ready, or if it's
Yes,
a
sir.
rough turn, something like that. And I know we talked about some best practices, how to avoid those
Sure.
headaches that so many people experience,
Amen
as
to that.
well as I'm sure with doing that many renovations, you've got some horror stories from when things didn't go well, or what people should avoid. And so we're going to dive into all of that. So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so break it down a little bit, kind of the process, um, and for you managing that many, for the average person, what are the best practices that they can follow that you've learned from your massive scale?
Absolutely. I would say the first thing, and I I will say this one to any audience I can possibly say, because I've learned the hard way how important it is. And that is like truly understanding what a win looks like for your whole business. So you've got this property, whether you're fixing and flipping or you're turning it into a rental, whether it's a short-term rental, a long-term, like I I cut my teeth in this industry working for Invitation Homes, roughly 100,000 doors managed around the country. And I helped oversee our Tampa market here. I had about 7,900 doors that I did the rehab, turn, and maintenance on. So and what I found out both from that, from Offerpad, where I'm leading today, and for a bunch of my investors that we swing hammers for, understanding what the win looks like is so incredibly important. We used to have these things called postmortems, where after we would put a property through acquisition, renovation, and disposition, we'd look at how did it perform. It's pretty cadaverish in nature. Like let's dissect this thing and see where we went wrong. And our biggest problem was the win kept changing. So the win when we bought the house was going to be this. And then the win had to change because we maybe didn't buy it appropriately. And so then the win changes when you're in renovation because you're trying to, kick a goalpost that's constantly doing this. And then the win changes in dispositions or leasing, and it was crazy. Like it took us forever to honestly really get our head around, like, what does that win look like? I'll tell you a crazy story. We had a general manager in one of our Texas markets, and he was given the challenge of buying 100 homes a month, right? We need the volume here. It's a big market. We need to buy 100 homes. His bosses were banging that drum, buy 100 homes, buy 100 homes. Super good dude. Like, so he hears that's his goal. Let's go get 100 homes. So, you got enough money, anybody can buy 100 homes, right? If you've got the money to do it, right? Yeah. So big, huge, REIT, nationwide REIT, publicly traded company. Like we've got the money and the cash flow to go do it. So they go buy 100 homes. He's applauded, attaboys, good games in all the meetings. Like everyone's excited. Next month, he goes and buy 100 homes. The problem was, like, anybody can do that with the money but hardly, let me say this. It's much harder to buy 100 homes that perform. Those two words, that perform, changed that entire goal. So he spent all this energy, effort, money, manpower, would buy these homes. It would come to us and you would do whatever it would take to get the home because that's the goal, right? Well, that doesn't work in renovation. Well, now we don't have enough money to hit disposition ideas or comp values or rental values. And so we're trying to okay, we're going to dumb down the renovation and not do X, Y, or Z, or, hey, we'll roll the dice on things that maybe we wouldn't have rolled the dice on. And we're pulling our hair out. The product is not matching the desired result. And then now disposition is, they're pointing fingers at us and we're pointing fingers at acquisitions. And all of a sudden that goalpost just keeps doing this. And what I learned more than anything, Chad, is that a true win has to be congruent throughout the whole organization. Even if it's just like, hey, it's me and my wife. We've got a small rental portfolio. We got to know what that win looks like. So many times, I think people will make, I don't know, the fit and finish. Well, that's our goalpost. We need to hit this fit and finish. And then you started watching HGTV and, well, what about this and this and this? And now you start over renovating, or too many people will make the goalpost be under budget, be under budget, be under budget. Well, now your move-in work order requests are through the roof, or, hey, it's taken forever to lease. And it was, or, hey, just get the deal under contract. Being able to take a step back and understand, hey, if I buy this house and I'm turning it into a rental, or if I buy this house and I'm turning it into a flip, I'm wanting to hit this comp level. Where do I need to be? And if that is an ROI number, great. Let that be your North Star and go there. If it's, rent revenue, great. That needs to be your North Star. But making sure that if that's going to be the case, then all the other legs have to point to getting us there. If not, you'll find yourself on a crazy detour. I know that I did.
Okay, so yeah, what would be some specifics? I like that because I see similar things,
Yeah,
the purchase is made, the rehab's expected at this amount, and then suddenly the furnace doesn't work or there's a big issue that's unforeseen.
sure.
All of a sudden they're saying, well, that means we can't redo the kitchen, and then that affects the tenant they're going to get, that affects the
Yeah,
profitability for years,
yeah.
right?
Well, I'll
So,
give you a real life example. So, and remember, if it's not a win for the whole team, it's not really a win, right? So, if your acquisition guy is winning because he's buying the house, but your reno team and your dispo team can't get it leased up or sold or have the money to
right.
do it, then that's not a real win. So, I was in the field early on in my career with Offerpad, and we were really into these 1920s Tampa style bungalows. I live here in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
Um, and they're sexy, they're cool, but they are held together with termite excrement and red tape from the county municipalities, right? And so they somehow survived all these hurricanes and all climate change or whatever you want to say. But man, for the love of God, like you start opening them up and things are unforeseen. So we have a project, it's over budget, we're delayed. And I had a manager come to me like, I just need you to save me some money and I need this 2 weeks early. That's how we're going to fix this. So all I hear in my head, save money, get done faster. We're at the time where I'm about ready to get templated for granite countertops. My granite guy is about 10 days behind schedule on other projects I have. So I said, you know what I'm going to do, Chad? I'm going to go get one of my guys to put in laminate tops. I'll make him look like granite. He can do it same day for me. He's a fabricator. I can get this done early, save a couple grand. Boom. So I make the promise to the acquisition guy, hey, we're going to do this. I got it. We save a couple grand. Oh, that's awesome, Bobby. Like, I didn't say how I was doing it, but it didn't matter because he said, get it done early and save money.
Right. Yeah.
So I go and do it. I'm getting the high fives. I'm getting the good games. I honestly felt like I did what was asked of me. Like, this is a win here. Disposition calls me a week later when the house is under contract. Like, what? Why? Who told you to not put granite tops in? All of our comp levels were here. And now, like, this is not okay. So I saved the company $2,000, but I cost them $7,000. You know what I mean? Because now,
Changing
like,
the comps. Yeah.
the ARV is different. The comp is there. Like, what they thought were marketing was not true. And for me, I learned a super valuable lesson that day, like in the idea of controlling what I can control, but that starts with me knowing what that true win is. Ultimately, the disposition level of that house, like what the comp level that they needed to be, that win had to be congruent for how much we could buy it for, how much we had to do what we needed to do to get it there, or hey, change your comp level to this and change your expectation. Then we would have changed our renovation approach. You would have changed your marketing or your disposition approach. And it, like, this is true, and I know it's an idiom, but like, if it's a mist in the pulpit, it's a fog in the pews. Meaning, if the preacher doesn't really know what he's talking about, how do we expect anybody in the congregation to get it, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think it's super important as real estate investors that we understand, like, hey, what's our why? What's our North Star? And that's even before you get started, because on paper, I saved money and I got it done early. Those are both two good things. At the end of the day, I heard our opportunity to make money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'm hearing, in our space, if somebody's looking to buy a rental, they're using ARV or comps so that they can do a cash out refinance, get all the money back, and they're expecting a certain amount of cash flow per month after that refinance. Then you get into the rehab, something goes over. You don't alter the rehab to hit your rehab estimate. You continue with the rehab estimate, and you may just have to invest a little bit of your own money in the deal on the front
Potentially.
end,
Yeah.
but you're going to still use the same comps, pull out as much money as you can, still have the cash flow on the back end. It'll just take you a little bit of time to get your money back,
Yeah.
right?
And I
If
think
that's the
in the
definition of a win.
right.
Don't change the win to be a lower comp and a lower grade rental just because our front end purchase was wrong. That's what I'm
Right.
hearing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or like, if your front end purchase is wrong and you're okay with it being producing less ROI, then you would have to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate the thing, tip to tail. Like, okay, like, hey, well, maybe we need to adjust like what our expectations are here. I think the tough part in doing that is your team, your employees, even yourself, you're going to feel um, a lack of confidence in knowing where you're going. It's funny in the renovation space, and this is true, Chad, whether it's fix and flip or it's buy and hold. Um, there's three factors that affect this, right? You got speed, quality, and cost, and you only get two out of the three. If it was me and I'm a control freak and I'm trying to affect, and what I learned early on is time is money, right? So you've got holding cost, HOAs, utilities, debt facilities, and then more than that, you've got risk, because the worst thing for a home is for it to be vacant, right? You've got potential squatters, freeze-mageddon that came through half the country last week. You know what I mean? My teams were out in the field winterizing hundreds of homes for our clients because they weren't expecting Texas or Charlotte to get buried under, feet of snow and ice. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
um, those pipes start bursting and things start happening. And if the home is vacant, so like if you can reduce the time, I learned early on in this, in that speed, quality, and cost, what you prioritize matters more than you know. Most folks that are in the real estate investment space early on, and I was guilty of this 100%, so I'm speaking from experience, prioritize cost above everything else. And I learned that if I incentivize my crews in the field or my project managers and my directors by being under budget, you know what's going to happen? We're going to be under budget. But you know what's going to suffer? The project, right?
Yeah.
That's when we start opening a door to duct tape solutions or sweep it under the rug or potential dishonesty or the more favors you're asking from your crews or your contractors or your trade, like the less attention to detail they will become, right?
Yeah.
So and then so the cost is there. What I found is if I focus on speed, that's the one thing that is 100% in my control, right? Quality is kind of in my control because you get what you get ready for and you expect what you inspect. But speed is the thing that I have the most tangible control of. And that starts with being proactive, not reactive, creating relationships with trades, setting organizational, knowing what your win looks like first, making sure that all of these things are planned and ready so that when you acquire the house, you're ready to go on day one. You've got your trades lined up. You've got your walks lined up. Now there are some variables that come in. Someone's going to get sick. Someone's going to the hospital. Someone on vacation. All those things, right? But 90% of that, if I'm organized and I'm relational, I can control the speed. Now think about what happens if your timelines are predictable and your downtime is minimalized. I found out early on in our career that say we bought a loser, because we buy losers sometimes, right? Like acquisition, the goalpost missed. And when we were buying 1,200 houses a month, when my team was flipping 1,200 a month, like there's going to be losers in there. But I learned really quickly, if I can get that job done on time or maybe a little bit early, say our holding risk was $100 to $150 a day, well, that adds up real fast. What you're shaving off of the debt and then adding on to the ROI. Because if I can get the time to cash as low as humanly possible, whether that's leased up or acquired, like all of a sudden a loser goes to a break even, or a break even goes to a winner, or a base hit goes to a triple. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the same way. It's funny, and feel free if I'm telling too many stories, you can cut me off anytime.
Oh no, yeah, that's great.
We had a client of ours in 23. They were a mid-size single-family rental, right? They probably had 10,000 doors. They're hedge fund backed, but they're building the plane mid-flight, right? So they didn't have field employees. They're running it, it's from a headquarters, and their senior vice president had requested a meeting with me because their move-in related work orders were through the roof. Their leasing schedule times were off big time. They were not getting the projects out of renovations and turns when they were supposed to. Their customer satisfaction was low. And he says, Bobby, like, we need help. So we go over like pricing together and all this kind of stuff, as you would do. And he was telling me, he's like, you're about 5 to 6% more expensive than what I'm currently paying. And I looked him in the eye and I said, hey, listen, like, you are getting what you pay for. Like right now, you've got headaches. You're missing your leasing goals. Your move-in related work orders are through the roof. Look at how that's affecting your ROI. And I said, do this for me. Like, I'm going to be faster than anybody that you've ever worked with because of the systems and plans and the training in the way my team runs. That's what we're designed to do. I said, give me 30 projects. And if I don't save you money on that 30 projects by you spending 5 to 6% more, I'm going to shake your hand. I'll buy you an adult beverage and I'll never bug you again. Well, I never heard from him again. I think we did 1,800 homes for him that year and instantly catapulted their team in a partnership level where their leases were higher up, their work order, move-in related work orders were through the floor. Like customer satisfaction was there, and we became this trusted partner with them. And all of a sudden, it made sense. Okay, if I go speed, quality, then cost, those are things that are in my control, and they're affecting things, or they have a direct correlation to things that matter for my ROI outside of just the transactional renovation scope.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, too often I think investors, especially as you get smaller in your portfolio,
Sure.
are short-sighted and think, well, if I save this little amount of money and don't
Right.
consider the time aspect and really the opportunity cost of the deal
Sure.
that you're losing out on because your money's still tied up in this deal, the
Yeah.
holding costs, everything else, that's a massive loss.
Yeah.
And that speed is key. It's sharp.
Well,
What
well, you think about it. Well, sorry, go ahead. You're good.
Well, which one do you think is more important? You know, I love that you're starting the process before closing, and it's
Right.
at closing, I mean, you're hitting the ground running.
100%.
What's more important with the contractor relations? Is it the relationship that you build over time, or is it the system that you present to them so that they know what a win looks like for them?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both. Relationship is going to be 1A, right? So they've got to know what your win looks like. They've got to understand your why. They've got to trust that you are going to pay your bills, that you're going to use them, that this isn't a one and done together. Like, I mean, a lot of what we do is building relational equity with trades. You know what I mean? Just yesterday, one of my big flooring suppliers that crushes it for me in the Midwest, he texts me like, "Hey, we just opened an office in one of your southeastern markets. Would it be okay if you introduced me to that leader there?" Of course. Like, and so my conversation is, "Hey, Chase, this is Larry. Larry crushes it for us in the Midwest. They just opened a warehouse in there. I'd love for you guys to have a conversation to see if he can earn some business there." Boom. Now all of a sudden, like Larry's involvement with my victory is bigger than just that job. And that goes even down to just, hey, I do 3 flips a year. Great. Hey, how do I create a relationship with the plumber that knows, like, hey, I'm not going to nickel and dime them. I'm going to pay my bills on time. All I need you is to get me a date of when you can actually show up and show up to that. And then if you're doing it in a way where like you're not screaming at him the whole time, like, man, if that guy wants to work for you, because this is the tough part, man, Chad. I know, like, I'm a general contractor. I do all of this stuff, and I still will have people that will no call, no show me. You know what I mean? So like and I've got relationship with them. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
they'll, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Bobby, I got a flat tire or whatever. My kid's sick." So if I know that happens to me, I know it's happening to every private investor that's out there, right?
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
getting somebody to show up. So I think creating that relationship when they know, "Hey, Chad, I close on this house on next Friday. Can you, 2 weeks in advance, hey, can we put it on your calendar to walk with me 9 a.m.? Like, I'm going to give you the job, right? Let's you and I come up with the budget on what it's going to take to do X, Y, and Z. It's on the calendar. And then for me, because I'm proactive, the very next week, hey, just confirming for next week. And then on Friday, hey, man, I'll see you on Monday. And then maybe even on Sunday after I'm texting you, "Hey, brother, I'm going to grab you a cup of coffee. I'll see you there. What do you like?" You know what I mean? Just
Yeah. Yeah.
like
I love that.
that sounds, like you're a little bit of a stalker in a relationship, but that's the way it's got to be. Um,
So, okay, for us, we do a lot of tenant training, right? That tenant coming into one of our properties, they've worked with all these property managers,
sure,
and we want to really tell them, explain to them how they can be successful in our business.
right,
I have, I mean, I think I've fallen very short on contractors, and I don't know very many investors who have a dialed in contractor
right,
orientation, right, system so that that contractor knows how you function
right,
and what a win looks like. What types of things do you recommend providing, or how do you set them up
sure,
for success?
yeah. Especially if it's somebody that you're wanting to build with, or maybe has a reputation, or maybe as a recommendation. I had a director of mine in Denver. Anytime he would onboard a new trade, whether it was a plumber, a painter, or like a handyman crew or whatever, He would make him come into the office. He would show them, he'd print out exactly what our scopes of work look like. And he would go over, he'd spend 20 minutes, is all it was. Hey, the parts that are in this line, these are for you. The parts over here, this is for the flooring guy. You don't need to worry about it. Like, you're going to get this. And if you say yes, I expect you to be there within 24 hours, right? If you're not there within 24 hours, I'm going to reassign it to somebody else. And he's going through all of these. Hey, here's your project manager's phone number. Like, he's going to call you and text you. I need you guys to be best friends. If you make his life happy, you're the only guy he's going to call, and you'll never have to spend a dime in marketing again. Type of, so you're not only casting the vision for future work, but you're setting a level of communication expectations and then helping him navigate what it is. And whether you're using some off-the-shelf product, construction management software, or for us, ours is proprietary. We built it ourselves, and or whether you're scratching it on an Excel document, like, as long as you are communicating and helping them see, I would tell my crews in the field, like, plan that you've got some guy with a 10th grade level education, and his foreman's going to tape up this piece of paper on a cabinet somewhere, and he's got to go in and he's got a checkbox every time he did something. Do it in such a way that he doesn't have to ask his foreman, what does he mean by this, every time. So we say, answer the questions before you're asked. But the toughest part in that, Chad, is if, like, people start doing lump sum stuff, like, hey, new kitchen, 10 grand. You know what I mean? Well, that means something different to all of us, right? So we would say, this fixture on this place, this many linear feet of cabinetry over here. I want 4 recessed LED lights and a square grid in the center of the room. Whatever, however you do that. Like, I would rather be over detailed so your guys are not wasting time trying to chase down answers, right? So answer the questions for their ask. And then I would say, like the training of that expectations matters too. There's a leadership author and a pastor that I've followed for a long time. His name's Andy Stanley. And one of his things that forever has changed my life is what gets celebrated gets repeated, right? So if you celebrate, hey man, yeah, Chad was under budget, 10 grand this time. Well, then everybody in your team is going to want to be under budget. Or if that's what's celebrated at a stage at a mastermind or a conference or a convention, like, well, okay, I guess I got to be under budget. But if we celebrate, like, hey man, this guy was able to get it done 5 days early, or this guy found a creative solution. I had a guy on my team. This was probably one of the most infuriating moments in my leadership career. I was taking over a market that was not performing, and I had to come in and be the new sheriff in town. And there was a project that, like, all of his notes said it was supposed to be done by the 30th. And I'm on the 15th of the next month, and this house is not done. And nothing, like, I just keep seeing out, trying to source tile. So finally, I fly into town. I'm like, you and I are going to go walk this house. I need to see what the problem is. House is 99% done. All it needs is a final clean, except for in the family room, there are these 4x4, like 1990s dated tiles that are around the hearth, and 3 of them were missing. And they were like a weird, like, emerald color. So he had been spending weeks driving around town to every tile shop to try to find these 3 pieces of tile that collectively were less than $50 installed, me being generous, right? Were maybe a couple $100, maybe. That's me being generous. And I said, Bud, if it costs me $150 a day to hold this house, and we're going on 3 weeks late, to retile this whole thing is less than $1,000, and you've spent that 3 times over just waiting, trying to chase these things. So having to, like, I lost my mind on the guy. Like, let's use our brain here. Let's think about it. But what it meant, like, finger points back, leadership is a mirror, right? It's reflecting his activity might be reflecting what my expectation is. I had to say, like, man, what am I celebrating? So what I needed to celebrate was, man, this guy found a creative solution. He realized from a stewardship principle, it was cheaper to remove all the obscured tile, put it all back on with a new tile that you could get locally, you know what I mean, at any Home Depot ever, and get it done in 3 days, as opposed to nearly 30 days of wasting time trying to find something. That's that whole step over dollars to pick up dimes. And understanding like telling those stories preemptively, like when I start out with new crews or when I do trainings with project managers, like I want to show them my dirty laundry because I don't want them to have to, make those same mistakes.
Man, that is gold. So it's better, more than telling them, hey, speed is the thing I care about most, and we
Right.
need to get this done quickly. When you tell them a story about
Yeah.
how that wasn't performed and why that was so
Right.
important, that's conveyed so much better.
Yeah.
That is good.
Well,
Yeah,
they'll remember that story. You know what I mean? And
right.
then the
Yeah,
hope is, Chad, is then they start like creative thinking or critical thinking, like, what other ways do I do that? You know what I mean? What other ways? Like,
right.
I
Because then the
remember,
story
yeah,
applies to a bunch of areas.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like I started buying when I was in the field all the time. I would have a 5 gallon Home Depot bucket, and I would have a couple tubes of caulking, a caulk gun, a thing of shop towels, an all-purpose spray. Um, what else did I have in there? Oh, thing of basic light bulbs, 9 volts, AA batteries, just in this bucket at all times, right? Because if I got into a house and somebody missed a bead of caulk around the base of a toilet, right, or a light bulb went out, right, how much longer is it going to take for me to call that contractor, tell him to get back out after he already left? It might be days, right?
right.
When I could lay a bead of caulking in 15 minutes, screw in a couple light bulbs, plug in an air freshener, and clean off my mess within an hour, and we're done. You know what I mean? Now I can get that house on the market. There's like, does that mean that contractor got one over on me? I mean, technically, he charged me for that bead of caulk, yes, but like I can win that argument and lose that fight real fast because what I would have lost is days of that thing not being on market. So I tell people you can be right and you can lose, or you can be creative and we can all win together.
Sure. And the really good contractors, the ones that you're going to want to work with over and over and over again, when you explain, hey, I had to take care of these couple of little items, they take that on themselves and they want to
Sure.
make sure that
Yep.
that's not going to happen again, right?
Yeah.
They want to deliver a good product.
Yeah. Absolutely. Especially if you've got the lure of volume dangling out in front of them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. They're looking for the next job and the next job and the
Right.
next job.
Yeah.
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 Sure. How do you handle or how do you recommend people handling that final punch out? I know a lot of people struggle with,
Yeah.
okay, I've got a few different contractors. They come into the house, I come in. How do I get it that last, whatever that is, 1% till it's
Yeah.
ready, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There is like what we try to do is while the main crew is still on site, we would schedule a punch walk so that my project manager will walk while their crew is there, and he's punching out things
Nice.
that he knows that are on the scope, and he's blue taping it where he needs to be, and he's having a conversation with that foreman or that crew leader, so that way, hey, we're all on the same page. I expect these to be done. And then I make them follow up with that in writing, in an email, text form, both. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, just based on what we talked about, here are the 12 things I still need to get done. And then that PM will go back and double check, right? If it's constantly not done, that's a different conversation about whether we continue that relationship or not. But for them, if their crews are on site and we know we're towards the end, the likelihood of that getting done faster is
Yeah.
way, way higher.
Yeah. Sure. All right.
As
So,
as opposed to that guy already pulling off and starting another job and then having to come back. You know what I
right
mean?
in the middle of
Yeah.
another job, and he's got to either pull the crew off or one guy send them
Right.
back. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
When they're all on site, the materials are on site, everything's
Right.
already there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm
That's
sure a key aspect of that as well is you're you're pointing out things that need to be completed from the original scope of work.
right.
You're not coming through and adding X, Y, Z
No, 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 no.
above
That's
the
the wrong time to do it. Like
yeah,
I will tell our people all the time, like, if we want to make a change order to the scope of work, that's fine. Let's do it before like we've got started, or let's do it within the first week or so. Like the work, I hate spending money twice, whether it's my money or my client's money. Like I want to be good stewards. And so I don't want to paint the house, get it cleaned, and then say, you know what, we should have painted those cabinets. Oh man, now I got to retape off. Now it's going to cost me more money to do this. I'm gonna have to pay for a final clean again. You know what I mean? And like
Yep.
to turn in the right product, and that means I've got to spend money twice. I'd rather make those decisions early on.
I like that. And, multiple times you've talked about doing the work on the front end, right? Putting as much detail in that scope of work
Correct.
beforehand
Correct.
so that the contractor knows exactly what
Right.
this product is supposed to come out on the back end, and
Right.
doing the explanation of how they can be successful interacting with your business, how they're going to get paid, right? How they
Right.
should communicate, things like that on the front end, instead of it being something where you're trying to correct them or argue with them on the
Right.
back end when you
Right.
have different expectations for how to handle pay, communication, all of those
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I
things.
would say kind of like my last like real big like non-negotiable, I would say like partnerships matter. You know what I mean? Once you find a crew, or you find like what we do for a lot of clients, which is we're like that sports car that you can rent, when you need it, as opposed to having to hire and fire employees based on volume. And so the people that we partner with do, like, I want them to see it as a win. Like, we're not just trying to be one and done and get out. And so when you're looking for somebody to do business with, somebody that has the opportunity, who wants to grow with you, who wants to learn, and that partnership goes both ways. You know what I mean? Like, how you communicate to them, how do they communicate to you? Do they, are they constantly excuses? Are they, a business that's, sticks to their accountability, to their word? Are they
Right,
trustworthy? Like, I think that matters, because you're going to get what you pay for. And I think that applies to that partnership mindset too. You know what I mean? Can I get the guy who I play softball with, or my brother's friend from church? He might do it 1% cheaper. You know what I mean? But it's going to take him 3 weeks to show up. You know what I mean? And then it
yep,
takes him forever to finish. You save that money. I think that, um, building that loyalty both ways, right? Like when we swing hammers for our clients around the country, like we take a stewardship first mentality. I'm taking Chad's house and we're going to put it in our machine like it's an Offerpad house. Nobody's going to know it's not an Offerpad house. The attention to detail is Offerpad. Our cruise detail is Offerpad. Our discounting is Offerpad. And at the end of the day, my project manager and my renovation director, like, I want them to be just as proud of your house as if it was one of ours. And when you're able to find partners, whether it's us or somebody else around, in your markets, like, I think that matters. And, creating I, like the relational back and forth. Doesn't mean you guys have to be best friends, but making sure you're communicating, you're talking, you're
right.
encouraging. Like, you're allowed to have accountability conversations too, but do it in a way that says, we're not going scorched earth every single second. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, yeah, for me, a big thing is trust, right? And
Sure.
we can disagree here and there, but we both trust each other.
Right.
We want this end result. We want a good relationship. We both are working towards the same thing.
Yeah.
For me, that's important. So, um, and that we can not see eye to eye in the moment, but
Sure.
both of us want a long-standing working relationship where everybody benefits. Nobody's trying
Right.
to take advantage of the other. So,
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen. Yeah. Because you
so
think about that, like, you as an investor, you need to save money, but your trades have got to make money, and you got to both
right.
do the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, everybody has to win. Yeah,
Right.
for sure. So for your business, I mean, the massive value I see, it's great at scale, but for the person, like you said, who does a consistent number of renovations and then all of a sudden has a bunch of deals, and they're not sure they're going to have that many deals forever, right? And they
Right.
don't want to manage the staffing that would come with that. Uh,
Yeah.
what does it look like if somebody works with you on renovation?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
I mean,
it's
it's
like.
super easy. Like, we're not a mastermind. We're not a coaching network. We're not a subscription based fee. We're a renovation solution. And we partner, with folks like you and your listeners, to bring that service and to bring that value. And we help people all over the country three ways. The first one is pressure relief valve. Um, I know how much time and effort it takes to manage a project. And if you're trying to wait on a painter or a landscaper, you're probably not sourcing a deal, or you're probably not working with your leasing department, or you're
Right.
probably not interviewing applicants. So we help people on that pressure relief valve, whether it's one a month or one a year or 100 a month or whatever it is. Like that's one way. We also help people scale. So we're in 20 plus markets, 15 states, and now all of a sudden you can start building a scattered site portfolio without having to hire a single other employee to manage the renovation. Just like you said at the beginning, the most frustrating part of this whole thing is getting contractors and trades that you trust, to show up and do it on time and on budget. So we've helped a number of our clients. Like one of our clients was based in St. Louis. They did voucher-based rentals, Section 8, and we were doing, I don't know, 4 to 5 flips or, renovations for them a month. And they went out and raised a bunch of capital and based on our relationship. And now we swing hammers for them in 11 states. And they didn't have to hire a single other employee to do that. And they're building a scattered site portfolio. So, I'm in Tampa and say you were in Tampa and we wanted to do one together, but man, there's a deal in Minneapolis that looked really good to you. And you just couldn't say yes because you didn't know anybody. Well, now you do. I'm already there. The same level of service that we do in Tampa is what we do in Vegas or in Indianapolis or, Phoenix. And so, that part's been cool, honestly, like watching people grow their possibilities. And really, honestly, Chad, the way we help the most is consistency and pricing. All of our pricing is pre-negotiated. We'll spend, between 50 and 70 million a year on labor and material and supplies. And so we get some volume discounts and some national contracts that a lot of private investors you just wouldn't have the opportunity to experience. Consistency on product, but the most important thing is consistency on time frame. You'll know, minus a couple. Hey, if you bought a house with code violations or pre-existing permitting issues, that might take a little bit longer, or if you're in a certain municipality that has higher inspection requirements. But I would say 90% of the products that we touch on a daily basis, we have almost we have a track record of being very consistent on how fast we get them back to people. And so basically, if anybody of your listeners or your students are interested in having a conversation about how we can partner with them on their renovation to help scale their portfolios, both from a buy and hold or a fix and flip, they can go to offerpad.com/renovate. And there's a quick little form out there. We'll get 30 minutes on the books to discuss and see if we can help.
Awesome. Yeah. And just, so everybody has perspective, this is not, you do not do work where it's an occupied property. This is
Correct.
just renovations of vacant property.
And turns.
Getting
And
it
turns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And turns.
Renovations and turns. Yeah. So we will do, it doesn't have to be the full gut jobs. We have a number of clients that we do their turns for on the single family rental side and even in the multifamily side where they're, couple $1,000 turns where we're doing touch up paint and a few handyman items and replace the carpet type stuff. Like we can handle that too. Obviously we prefer the bigger renovations, but we're already there renovating in that market anyway. So we pivot a little bit for capacity.
Sure. And I know you had mentioned anybody who goes and schedules a time to talk to you, they would automatically get some of your metrics on what
Sure.
you price things or how you price
Yeah.
things in the market, right?
Yeah, we have a pricing matrix on probably the top 10 or 12 major renovation items. Our paint prices per square foot, right? So it's not like I got to go get bid on what it's cost to paint. It's X amount of square foot times whatever price it is in the market. That's your paint price. So as an investor, you can take these. It's the same thing with our flooring and our carpet and our countertops and our, cabinetry and stuff like that. As an investor, that should help inform your underwrite. Man, if I use Offerpad,
Right.
I can get that, like I can better underwrite what my renovation cost is going to be based just on square footage, you know what I mean, of the home. And so if we end up having a 30-minute conversation and we're talking like we give that to our new clients anyway, we show our pricing and our pricing is what we call fully baked, meaning labor, material, taxes and margin are all included in that price. So it's not like you're getting a really low paint price and then you get a change order for project management fee later. You know what I mean? It's all fully baked. So because we want partnership, Chad. So we want them to be able to have confidence. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like I want to be a renovation solution that you can have confidence in. And if you have confidence in us, that's going to make you more confident to go out and buy your next rental and buy the next rental because you're not unsure of your ability to perform.
Awesome. Yeah. I know plenty of investors who almost have a fear of success. What if that both offers
Sure.
get
Yeah.
accepted and I can only handle one renovation
Right.
and you're the solution?
Yeah. And we'd love to help, man. It's a lot of fun. We've got a chance over the last year to really work with just some awesome folks. You make friends doing this. And when I see that I'm moving the needle for them, like it's beautiful. It was really cool. I was on a call yesterday with um, a referral from somebody who had heard of us from a mastermind somewhere. And he's like, man, this sounds almost too good to be true. Do you mind giving us one of the people that you've worked with locally? And I was able to give him Adam and family. We just finished a project for Adam Whitney. And I was like, yeah, here's Adam. And, it was exciting because Adam didn't have to sing our praises, but he was like, this was the easiest thing we've ever done. We'll absolutely be using him again. And it was like, man, that makes me happy. You know what I mean? To know that I
Yeah,
moved the needle for Adam and I have the opportunity to move the needle for this guy.
sure. Love it. Well, no, I appreciate you coming on and a lot of good tips. So I hope everybody not only goes back and re-listens and takes some notes, because that was a lot of gold nuggets there on how to handle that relationship, but definitely reach out to Bobby, offerpad.com, initiate that conversation so you can see how you work together. All right.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate you having me, brother.
yeah, always enjoyed it. Great to see you again. Everybody listening, please like, follow, subscribe. As always, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That lets more people know about the show so we can serve more people and grow our audience. And until next week, as always, keep building your dream life one door at a time. I get it. I talk to people every day who recognize the massive value to buying rental properties, and they know over time it will drastically change their life, drastically change their financial future, change everything for kids, family, others, people they care about. Okay. But they're held back by one reason or another. Like they don't know the exact steps to focus on, or they've been trying to buy rentals and just getting frustrated by their lack of results, or they don't have enough money, believe they don't have enough money to buy rental properties. And I understand all of those things. That's why I created the One Rental to Freedom program, because it's a group coaching program where we work through all of those things together. It is only uh, highly driven individuals who want to change their life through rental properties and people who are go-givers that want to help each other out so that we all succeed, right? We're going to have a rising tide where all of us get lifted up to success. And so that group, we are always looking for new individuals that match that criteria. If you would like to see if you qualify, you can go to truewealthinvestors.com/contact, fill out the short application and schedule a call with me to see if you qualify. Really, the benefits of the program are that you get clear instruction, clear skills to know how to find good deals, how to run numbers, how to make offers, how to fund the deals with other people's money, and how to manage the properties so that you don't have headaches from tenants. We have weekly support calls to get questions to your answers, as well as accountability to make sure you keep moving forward. And we have a bunch of people in the group that are like-minded and want to help each other out. So you benefit from other people's experience. If that interests you, if you are truly ready to start moving forward in your real estate business, buy rentals, change your financial future, go to truewealthinvestors.com and you can apply there today. I look forward to talking to you soon. We are adding new episodes every week, so make sure and subscribe and check out all of our content at truewealthinvestors.com.